Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club Podcast, where every month we deep dive into a different aspect of cinema, directors, genres, actors, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Boo.
And this month we are defending Star Wars, going through the most controversial, most misunderstood, and the bad ones of the Star Wars franchise. And this week we're talking about
The Rise of Skywalker.
That's right, the 2019 finale to the Disney Star Wars franchise. This is the last film of the Star Wars film universe?
Yes.
Okay. So spoilers for everyone. We don't have a guest for this episode.
That's why I introduced myself as Boo, because it's just the two of us today.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
God help us, because Dean has some thoughts about this.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. So, I guess to preface this, so we have no guest because we couldn't get anyone to defend this movie.
Yes.
That was the theme of the whole month. We'll get people in to defend their Star Wars. It was going to be fun. And everyone made the comment, are you going to do Rise of Skywalker? What Mad Lad do you have for that? There are no Mad Lads. And now we can see why. Because I had never seen this movie before today.
Yeah, you ditched me.
I didn't ditch you. I stood on business. After Last Jedi, I was like, I will give Disney no more of my money. And I fucking meant it. But, Thomas, changed my mind a little bit last week about, hey, Last Jedi's not that bad. There's some good stuff in there. And watching it, you know what? He was right. The Rey and Luke stuff, that works. That's good story stuff. The Poe and Finn storylines aren't good, but hey, good idea, bad execution. That movie had a lot of highs and lows, peaks and valleys. So I thought, you know what, Dean, maybe you misjudged Rise of Skywalker. Maybe it was actually a secret, good Star Wars movies that was just misunderstood. And Boo, I want to know your thoughts. Is this a misunderstood Star Wars movie? Is this as bad as people say it is?
It's bad. I've seen it a handful of times now, so...
Because you do the rewatch every year, right?
I do the rewatch, and I had just done the rewatch, and then we decided, hey, let's run and do Rise of Skywalker. So I've seen this movie twice now in the past few weeks. So...
Has it grown on you?
With time, it doesn't sting like it used to.
Doesn't sting?
It doesn't sting. Now it's just kind of like, all right, it's part of the universe. You do it, you watch, it's part of the watch.
It feels like you just kind of given up trying to, I guess, reason with the movie anymore. We will not just negotiate with terrorists. Rise of Skywalker exists in the universe. I'm just going to accept it.
It exists. I accept it. We have gotten Star Wars shows that have been really great. So it's like, okay, we can do good Star Wars. This is just, it felt like there were so many different plots in this movie where it felt like, okay, well, what is the central plot? Because we just keep getting storyline, and it's like, okay, that would have been great if you had fleshed it out and focused on it and ran with it instead of giving us 20 plots that we're trying to combat in one movie.
See, that's a big thing I have with the movie, is it feels like it's it's like a season of a TV show, right? This feels like this should be spread out over the course of 10 1-hour episodes or something like that. And that's enough room for all these plot threads to go, because there's 3 fetch quests. They have to go to they have to go to 4 different planets. Rey has to have her oh, now I know what I have to do, but I don't want to, so I'm gonna do what Luke did. Then Kylo has to have basically one scene redemption arc.
Yeah.
And that's a huge issue I have with the movie, is it's so dense with stuff that doesn't work. So much of the movie just doesn't work.
No, that's why, we're supposed to be getting a Rey solo movie, so I'm not sure if it's going to turn into
Rey Solo, or a Rey on her own movie.
A Rey on her own, not Rey Solo. Sorry, Reylo fans. I didn't mean to, get you guys up in arms. We're going to get a Rey Solo movie? No.
Because we know these things, right?
We know these things. But no, she's getting her own solo film. But we don't know if it's going to turn into a franchise, which, the lineage of her being a Palpatine, I think that would have worked for her character arc.
If they wanted to do the Rey Palpatine thing, which, do we need to spoil this movie at all? Does everyone from pop culture know?
I think everybody knows.
Okay.
I think we were all disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. If they were
I was
gonna
very team. I wanted her to be Kenobi.
Oh God,
because then we would have Skywalker Kenobi back together again.
I was team nobody. Her being a nobody
that would have been good too.
Well, it just means more to her because I think it means more to the universe of Star Wars of that anyone can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Luke is a farm boy from. Okay, looking at George Lucas's canon, which is, I guess, like that's the only canon that everyone recognizes as okay, yeah, that's real. The first Star Wars. Luke's a nobody. Mm-hmm. He is a farm boy from middle of nowhere Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
And he finds out he's force sensitive and he's gonna save the day, and he, you know, does what he does. Because at that point George Lucas was like, Darth Vader's not his father. That's ridiculous. It was
just one movie.
It was one movie and that worked, and then he finds out, oh, I am Vader's son, and now it's a lineage thing and
20th Century Fox that was like, yo, this brings in a ton of money. You need to expand it. So George Lucas was like, okay, now I have to create a universe.
Well, that's like a weird thing because George Lucas had all the creative and story rights to Star Wars. That's a wild thing.
Mm-hmm.
George Lucas, people can say what they want about him as a director and a filmmaker. The man's a great fucking businessman because he owned all the creative rights to Star Wars point blank, even signing everything else over to Fox.
Yeah.
So all the sequels, that was a thing that, well, Star Wars made all this money, so I gotta make more because I'm George Lucas. Somebody like this spliff, yo. I'm gonna make Empire. So he hires people to make Empire, and then I think it's his creative decision to make Vader his father, but whatever. But making Rey a nobody reinforces the underlying idea of the original Star Wars of anybody can make a difference. You don't need to have the bloodline of literal Force Jesus to make a difference in the Star Wars universe. But her being a Palpatine undermines that tremendously because it reinforces the idea of, no, if you want to make a difference in this universe, you have to be, a special one. You have to be a Palpatine, a Kenobi, a Skywalker. You need to be a real person, because if not, then you don't make a difference. Which I think undermines the underlying theme of the Force Awakens and what The Last Jedi was going for. Rey's a nobody, and that's okay. Her being a nobody is a good thing. And then J.J. Abrams was like, you know what? Fuck you. Or I guess that's David Lynch. I don't know.
That's David Lynch.
I don't know what J.J. Abrams sounds like.
I mean, I've seen him in, documentaries and like the behind the scenes stuff, but off the top of my head,
not a Lynch guy.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'll just do this. J.J. Abrams was probably like, you know what? No, fuck you. She's a Palpatine. She's an important. She's not a nobody. She's real. A lot of the movie feels like it's trying to spend half of its plot denying The Last Jedi's things.
I think that's why people were mad. I was mad because it's like, we've had this with Palpatine before. It's like, had she been a Kenobi, that would have been awesome to see, Obi-Wan lost Anakin to the dark side.
Yes.
And it's this failure that he's carried with him for his entire life. He's like, I tried to save him. I tried to pull him to the light side of the Force, and I just couldn't. And with this, with Ben being, half Skywalker, half Solo, it could have been this thing where a Kenobi finally, was able to pull him back to the light. Where, like, we could have had that, they're back together, the boys are back. And it was just like, no.
I guess that can make more sense of it being a thing where, a Skywalker needs a Kenobi to guide them. That can make more like thematic sense.
They make a great team.
Yeah, they make a great team. Sure. But it still undermines the idea of Rey being a nobody that feels like what the movies were leading to.
And even if she was a nobody, that would have been fine.
No, I think that's what it should have been, because The Force Awakens, we just should tell people what this movie's about, because this movie makes no fucking sense. It's so fucking plot dense.
That's why I said, had they just honed it down instead of, we're just running so many different missions, and then we have, the epic battle at the end. It's a lot. going on.
And the epic battle at the end also doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, we're going to get into it. So here's the back of the box.
We do get a war in space, in the stars.
We get that in every movie.
Yeah, but I mean, like, actual, people running around and shooting and, throwing people around.
We get that in every movie. But
not on a ship, like, physically running on the outside of a ship.
We get it on inside ships all the time.
Well, inside the ships,
that
but,
was the Death Star.
But not on the outside of the ship.
Okay.
We had horses in space.
Oh, God. Okay.
Lots of stuff happened in this movie.
Yes, and it's all bad. So here's the basic back of the box of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the gist of the movie, I guess, because there's like a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
So what is happening is in the final days of the war between the Rebellion and the First Order, a mysterious signal calls out to Kylo Ren and Rey so that they may sit the throne of the Sith and bring about the return of the true Emperor. But now, Rey must find a way to end the war and stop the Sith to bring the final balance of the Force before Kylo Ren does his thing, I guess. The movie really kind of drops the ball. From the opening title crawl, we're just going to get into it. Okay, the opening title crawl, where it opens with, "The dead speak." Oh, okay, this is cool. Palpatine's signal has gone out into the... I'm like, wait a minute. Palpatine's back?
If you had watched the trailer, you would have known.
Yeah, you want to know the best part? You know where the first instance of Palpatine's signal was shown?
Where?
Fortnite. It was a Fortnite preview at the Star Wars Celebration. That's where you actually hear the Palpatine's voice for the first time associated with Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, that's something I found out, everyone, and that is very telling about how Disney views the Star Wars IP. But whatever. Look, I knew Palpatine was in this movie going in. First time seeing it, knew going in, everyone had talked about it. Also the trailers, he laughs at the end and I'm like, okay, fucking Palpatine's in this? Okay. In my head, I was like, is he going to be a Force ghost? Is he the Force ghost returned to guide Kylo Ren or guide this or that?
Evil Force ghost.
Evil Force ghost, right? A Sith ghost, if you will. And then, Rey, she's like, a Palpatine, knew that going in. I was like, we're going to get Palpatine as like the third act reveal. Like the final big bad because Snoke is dead. Yeah. Sure. And
it's just this looming cloud that, eventually we'll see him at the very end and it'll be, every turn, every corner, oh, is that him? No, it's not him, just leave you in suspense.
But that's not how the movie goes. It's the opening 10 minutes.
We see him pretty soon.
Which is so weird. Like, how did Palpatine survive? Why is Palpatine here? Why
won't he just die?
Why won't he just die?
I mean, he was already an old dude in episode 1.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? Like, this is supposed to be like a defense of Star Wars.
Who banged Palpatine?
Okay, that's another question. Who is like, yo, Chancellor Palpatine, gonna go and start long dicking bitches. Did he look like the Emperor when he was out on the town hooking up with people?
Well, because I'm trying to think, when they show Rey's parents, her parents don't look like, old people. They look like they're maybe...
They would be the age... Okay, here's the thing. If we're looking at that, then Rey's parents would be about the age of like Luke and Leia and Han now. So they would have been the age of Luke, Han, and Leia during the original trilogy. So there would be a 20 to 30-year-old Palpatine boy, girl, whatever, wandering around during the original trilogy. That's never brought up. There would have been by the end of Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine should have been like, "Your children are dead, Mr. Vader. But look at my boy here. Look at old Johnny Palpatine. Look how nice he is. 9 pounds 11 ounces. Big boy. Look at him." That would have been the context of it. But that doesn't exist because J.J. Abrams pulled that shit out of his ass.
Yeah, so that's why I was kind of like, who banged him? Why? And this would be, Emperor. This isn't, Chancellor Palpatine.
This is Emperor, yes.
And it's like...
with the weird folds in his forehead, and he's all pale and clammy.
The orange eyes.
Yellow, orange, yeah, something like that. But
He was just like, do it.
he's like, yo, baby,
Do it.
do it. He does the Jedi mind trick. He's like, yes, yes. No, baby, I swear it's 12 inches. Jedi mind trick.
Future Dean also cut that out too.
No, that shit's staying in. That shit's hilarious. Okay, but we're doing defense of Star Wars,
Yes.
right? And we're not going to say Rise of Skywalker is indefensible.
Mhm.
It's not a hateful movie. It's not a movie that's going to,
There was a
hurt
lot of
anyone.
There was a lot of things in the movie that made it interesting, and if they had focused on it, which I feel like that's going to be a main argument of this episode, is had they just picked something instead of throwing 20 plot lines in the movie, it would have flowed a lot better.
It comes down to the fact that it comes down to the fact of this. J.J. Abrams, probably more Kathleen Kennedy, because she was the producer of all the Star Wars movies, made the dumbest decision of any film conglomerate or whatever you want to call, or studio ever.
Mhm.
And that is not having a plan when you started.
Yeah.
And people can say it's like, no, we had an outline figured out. Like, no, you fucking didn't.
Mhm.
Like, anything other than they had no idea what they were doing, and they were planning on just giving it to X number of people to figure, and like they were gonna make their own Star Wars thing. Oh, JJ is gonna set it up with like a cool opening. Rian Johnson is gonna give us this really strong dynamic middle. He's gonna give us our own empire, and then fucking Last Skywalker is gonna be done by Denis Villeneuve. I don't fucking know. David Fincher. But I think what happened is Last Jedi came out. It was incredibly divisive. People either fucking hated that movie or people really liked that movie, and Disney had no idea what direction to go, because it also had the problem of Rian Johnson kind of wrote them into a corner.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because that movie that movie's a spin your wheels kind of movie. But it wrote them into the corner in Snoke's dead. It also wrote them into the weird corner of, okay, Rey's not anybody, so we can't really explore Rey's past all that much because she's a nobody. Okay, fucking Luke's dead? Okay, fuck, okay. Wait, you mean to tell me that the entire rebellion's down to like 12 people and a droid? Okay, so that's in a pretty bad spot. Oh, and the elephant in the room, the Leia-sized elephant in the room is Carrie Fisher passed away.
Yeah. So
realistically, you can't use any new footage of Carrie Fisher without doing a really weird like CGI, which
we get in Rogue One.
Yeah, well, Rogue One, it's like a de-aged, like, it's supposed to be Carrie Fisher from, like, A New Hope. It's a de-aged version. In this, it's a weird mix of
archival footage.
Yeah, well, it's definitely archival voice lines, which is why a lot of her dialogue doesn't sound totally right. But it's also that her face is like her real face from old archival footage, but everything around it is CGI'd in. Yeah. Which is why and there's also like a body double that's involved to like try and sell it, but it doesn't look right. And it's also the problem where I found this out, Force Awakens was the Han Solo goodbye. He's in a lot of that movie. It's a big, send off to him. We got to see Han go for one more ride, boys. And then he gets killed by his son. And it's a big dramatic moment. And it's like, oh, that's impactful. Like Han Solo died. Oh my God. The second one, Last Jedi, Luke's going to die. Luke goes, and it's like, say what you will. Luke's arc is handled relatively well. Luke has his big climactic finish. And Rise of Skywalker was supposed to be the farewell to
Princess Leia.
But yeah, this doesn't do it. It's also a thing where we get her funeral when it's like an 8-second like static shot of everyone mourning, and then that's it. We're out. We don't come back to Leia at all until the Force Ghost at the end. It's a very weird thing about the movie is it doesn't feel like they were able to handle any curveballs thrown at them from The Last Jedi, which begs the question as why in the world did they
greenlight it?
Did they greenlight it? Like, why? They read the fucking script. They knew what was going on, and they were like, yeah, you know what? Like, fuck it. We'll just roll with the punches. We'll just make the next one figure it out. This feels like J.J. Abrams said, okay, let's go back and we're gonna make our 2 and 3 in one movie. We're gonna make my own Jedi and my own Empire, my own Return of the Jedi. That's what I'm gonna do. And it feels bloated and it feels confusing.
No, I mean, I agree. It's just, I had said it from, I think, maybe Force Awakens, that I think they were just so hyped that people were excited for new Star Wars. Force Awakens worked, filled with tons of Easter eggs. The fans loved it. They were just on that money train. And Disney was like, we got to keep this train on the tracks. Doesn't matter, if the train's on fire, we're going to just, keep on going and try to pull in any cash that we can instead of sitting there. And no, Star Wars works because the stories work. The stories are impactful. So let's sit here and try to expand the universe and try to make it, wow, he is Luke's father? I wouldn't have thought of that in a million years. Something like that where, they just get you.
I see. Okay, actually, I have a question about that. Okay, so this is going to get into a bigger grand talk about the Star Wars universe, because I think we can be honest, Rise of the Skywalker has a shit ton of problems, and it doesn't really work all that well, but we're going to round back to specific things, because I got a lot of specifics about this fucking movie. But why do you think Star Wars works? Like, in general. Okay, because think about it like this. The original trilogy works for a specific reasons, right? Like, A New Hope is the perfect example of the classic hero's journey. It's one of the greatest pastiches in all of cinema. Uses stuff from, like, old Flash Gordon serials and mixes it with, like, Ben-Hur action, and also mixes it with, like, samurai movies, and mixes it with, like, cool Western stuff. It's one of the greatest pastiches in cinema history, and it's built together with the most baseline universal story structure ever made. Then you have Empire. It's dark, it's brooding, it's the one that goes a little bit more serious. It also has the downer ending. It feels like a new Hollywood-esque tale within the Star Wars universe, because the heroes don't always win, and that's like okay, because they can still rise up. And then Return of the Jedi, more kid-friendly, but it manages to stick the landing in the fact that Luke is the Jedi fulfilled and proves that even if you are a space Hitler or whatever, there can still be gold in you, because Darth Vader isn't all bad as long as he kills the worst guy, which is the Emperor. So, like, the original trilogy works like that, right? But then there's the prequels.
Yeah.
Do the prequels work all the way? All of them gold?
I feel like because we've had so much time with the prequels that now it's like, okay, I've got love for you. I mean, it also helped that, it was George Lucas that was the one that came to the prequels, and I was like, okay, this is my universe. I need to kind of show why things are the way they are. So I think that's why it helped, because it's the same person, versus J.J. Abrams coming in as a fan and being like, okay, I'm going to tweak this and make it my own while still staying canon. But to answer your first question, you kind of technically answered it. People love stories of heroes and villains, good and evil. We like seeing, good, prevail. And, we kind of like seeing, hey, even the heroes struggle. Empire strikes back. The heroes don't always win. But we can rally and we can come back and, do good for the universe, do good for the planet, do good for humanity. So it's like, I think that's why Star Wars works, because it's good and evil.
Okay. I mean, I can see that, all right? Like, the original trilogy, I think, works. The prequels maybe not work all the time. I do agree.
It doesn't work all the time because, damn. To be fair, all those meetings, that is very true to life. There's lots of meetings that could have just been an email.
Yeah,
and
yes.
We could have had that in the prequels. Be like, yo, here's a flyer about what's going down with the Senate. Cool, gotcha.
Yeah, the problems with the prequels is that they're just a lot of them are poorly paced. Phantom Menace, I think, is like the one that suffers the most. It's a little oddly paced. There's the long 15-minute
it suffers, and
scenes.
it was crapped on for a long time, and it celebrated its 25th anniversary. It was #1 at the box office for a while. It is the most streamed Star Wars thing on Disney Plus. So, like I said, with time comes healing, because now people are, I love the Phantom Menace, and it's like, well, where have you been? You mean Matt's the only one that was, Phantom Menace,
fucking ride or die
my
on
whole
release.
life. So it's, it's this thing where I think time, kind of helps. And it's, yeah, I remember, dogging that when it first came out. But, now I have a soft spot for it.
I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Time heals all wounds. Eventually, people come around to it. And the other problem is people were talking about the Phantom Menace like it was the literal worst thing ever put to film, ever worse than any live leak you can find. It was awful, awful.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't even think the prequels got better. I think people just finally were like, okay, guys, we can be real though. Like, the pod race is fun, right? Like, the Duels of the Fate is, like, one of the best action sequences in Star Wars, right? Like, we can just be cool about
Pieces
this.
of music.
Like, there's great music in it. Like, okay, yeah, Jar Jar Binks isn't funny, but, like, fucking, we can enjoy the fact that, like,
the secret world he lived in was really cool.
Like, we can just enjoy the parts of the movie that are, like, pretty good and just, like, okay, yeah, the bad parts are bad, but it doesn't ruin my day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Even Clone, or what is it? Attack of the Clones?
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Okay, this one's boring. It's a slog. All right, yeah, we get Grievous. That's cool. Dooku. Okay, whatever. All right, cool. Then Revenge of the Sith is like, all right, this feels like George finally got what the story's about, and like we're kind of back to close to being like a pretty decent, like fun Star Warsy fall to the dark side.
We desperately don't want Anakin to turn, even though it's written in the stars.
But here's the thing: this might be a controversial opinion, but Star Wars to me is a franchise that got so fucking lucky.
Yeah,
it got so lucky. Like, and I really think that the movie, like the entire franchise has, one masterpiece, one great movie, and the rest fall between either good to awful, right? Like, A New Hope changed cinema. We cannot argue that.
No.
It is the most influential the original Star Wars A New Hope is the most influential film
Absolutely
of the last 60 years, easily. Empire Strikes Back is considered one of the greatest sequels of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It resonated with audiences across the world. It's the one everyone is like, you know what? Like, is Empire better than Citizen Kane? I've heard people argue this. You are wrong, but I've heard the argument, and I'm like, well, that's got some fucking balls.
I mean, Boba Fett is looking down at you, so I'd be careful what you say.
Okay, fucking Boba Fett has like, what, 3 lines of dialogue and dies in the Sarlacc pit. And then you have Return of the Jedi, which is like...
You gotta watch the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I gotta watch a lot of things. But and then you have like Return of the Jedi, which is like, it's kid friendly. It feels like kind of like a little weird with some of the humor it's trying to play. I'm talking about the special edition version of it because it's the only way you can watch it now. But it's a weird way to watch it. Okay, whatever. But it sticks the emotional landing, and you get a complete arc with Anakin Skywalker. Cool, got it, awesome. The original trilogy stands tall and is like good. Every other Star Wars movie doesn't work. Like every other one. And I'm so like confused why the franchise is like that. Because George Lucas, as a creative, person, he has the vision. He understands like the universe. So like the prequel's not working. Okay, he got lost in the sauce. Metachlorians. He was like, they're gonna be microbes. They're gonna be metachlorians.
So many metachlorians.
So many metachlorians. They're gonna be Jar Jar Binks. We're gonna do this, boys. Like whatever. The prequel's not working. George got lost in the sauce and tried to like do weird shit. Fine. The Disney ones, the Abrams ones.
Yeah.
I do not understand how these movies don't work. I'm curious.
Again, I answered you. I told you I think the Disney ones don't work because they wanted them to be cash cows, and they would have been had you given them some time to marinate and really get out there. Let them cook. Let them be these epics that come out maybe every 5 years. Give them some time. Really flesh out the story. Work on practical locations. I love all they're actually out in the world
when they're in like Tunisia.
Yeah, it's like I love that they went to different countries, and it's not all CGI like we got with the prequels. It's like let them cook so it could really feel like this immersive experience. But because they want to turn profit, they want to they want to sell, they want to just keep going. That's where they tripped up, because it's we're in such a rush to do this. Oh, you gave me this draft and it has problems. Send it out. We need this filmed. We need this done. And it's like, just give it time.
It should have been a thing where they should have just had the franchise, because they knew it was going to be 3 films, right? They should have just written out like, okay, worst comes to worst, we need to write a script for everyone, or outline what's going on.
I mean, if J.J. Abrams was gonna, start it and finish it, and have someone come in, have him write the entire thing.
I don't think he was gonna ever come back to Rise of Skywalker. This is a thing. I have a legitimate opinion, or a legitimate thought, that Palpatine wouldn't even be in Rise of the Skywalker if it weren't for the fact that Johnson killed him.
They wrote him into a corner.
Yeah, like I really think that Abrams had no intention of ever coming back. I think his intention was, I'm going to make the first one, I'll show run the next 2, and we'll be out. I'll have like Rian Johnson do the second one, and then we'll get some big name to do the third one, and we'll call it even. And I think what happens is that they couldn't get anybody to come in. Like, I think J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson wrote him into a corner, but he also wrote every director and writer who wanted to come back into a corner of no, I'm not following up this. I'm good. Like, Luke's not there. What's the point of me coming in? I wanted to play with Luke Skywalker. Oh, you killed the big bad evil guy? Well, obviously you guys must have an idea of what you want to do.
But realistically, what was the big bad evil guy doing apart from sitting in his throne? Nothing.
That's bad writing on the part of
That's
Rian
why
Johnson.
it's like we never, felt like, ooh, Snoke's going to do something. It's like, no, he's always sitting in his throne. It's like, okay, and
in the grand defense of the original trilogy, all the Emperor did was sit in his fucking throne and shoot lightning
and walk down hallways.
Yeah,
but I mean, you could see that there was something sinister about Palpatine.
Well, there was something sinister about Snoke in the first one. Granted, we never saw him. Again, I love the introduction of Snoke where he looks like he's on this giant throne. He's a giant.
Oh yeah, they use the Jaws effect where we don't really see him, so we don't know what he's capable of doing. And then in the second movie, no, we're in his throne room and he's in his pretty pajamas sitting in his throne. It's like, yeah, I don't think dude's ready to throw hands. I think he's going to call it a night and that's it.
We can sit here and we can rewrite the entire Disney trilogy.
We would be one of the many.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem is, we're here to talk about Rise of Skywalker and we're trying to avoid it a little bit because everything else around it is just so fascinating as to how we get here. How do we end up with Rise of the Skywalker, and how do we end up with all of these weird plot points and character decisions and backtracking and payoffs, like what, and lack of payoffs there are? Like what? How do we get here? But let's talk about some more specific things about the movie that might be defensible, right? Because this is Defense of Star Wars, and we're not going to try and have a kangaroo court. Maybe a little bit, but I want to know, is there something in this movie that you legitimately think, okay, that works? That's a good thing for this universe or franchise. What's one thing in this that works?
Definitely the stormtroopers that had defected.
The defecting storm. Okay.
Because I think, they didn't get that much time, but that totally could have been turned into its own series.
Okay. Oh, you feel like that had enough juice to kind of
Absolutely.
do a lot more with?
Oh, absolutely. You get this reveal of, it's not just Finn, it's a bunch of people in the First Order that are, this is wrong. It's not like with the Empire where they were all clones.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's understandable.
Well, under the Empire, they weren't all clones. I mean, Luke wanted to join the Empire.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the beginning when, with Order, 66.
Yeah.
So it was like, we go from the clones and then, it, furthers on to, regular people that are joining the Empire. But it's interesting to see it with the First Order where people are, no, this is bad. We're working for the bad guys. I can't be a part of this. I can't be hurting, innocent people. So it's like, I think that totally could have taken some steam and been put into its own series. Just to show them leaving the First Order and how dangerous it was and trying to find a spot and just, okay, we're going to do good and we're going to try to be, kind of under the lamb a little bit.
See, I agree with you in the fact that it's a very interesting thing to explore. It's a very interesting thing that even if you're a stormtrooper, you're one of the faceless many that, whatever, it's like there's still like a human underneath the mask, and there's still doubts that person can have because, let's be honest, the entirety of the stormtroopers throughout Star Wars are faceless people for the Jedi to slaughter by the thousands. And I think it's interesting because Finn is the first time we ever see a stormtrooper defect, and that's like a huge deal. Like, Finn is the special one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing about this that I have issue with, is that it makes Finn less special.
Or do you tie it in with Finn? He discovers this during The Force Awakens. That was the big, title line. There's been an awakening. Could Finn be the one that, he has this idea and, this is wrong, and it kind of awakens that in the other stormtroopers?
The movie never makes that clear.
It could.
Well, here's the other thing is Finn shows up and they're like, oh, we were a whole battalion and we left. And it's a thing where it just makes Finn less special. And I'm saying it like this because Finn isn't like Rey. And I think everyone wanted Finn to be Rey. Everyone wanted Finn to be the like secret backdoor main character. Even like Force Awakens, I think people were like, what? Finn's like force sensitive. That's what it is. Oh, and Last Jedi, Finn's gonna get like trained to be a Jedi. He's gonna be a real like cool Jedi master. And then they don't really do anything like that in The Last Jedi. Because he's off on casino planets.
Yeah.
And totally hitting on Rose, and which never pays off. Don't worry, everybody. Rose is like only in this movie for a little bit. And they're totally platonic friends. That kiss at the end of Last Jedi meant nothing. But it's the thing where in Rise of Skywalker, I was hopeful that we would get to see Finn finally achieve the main character status I think we all kind of wanted. Because I like Daisy Ridley as Rey.
Same.
I think she's a very good actress. She's asked to do some stuff in here where it's like you need to portray a lot of like heavy emotion just staring off at this point in space where we're gonna CGI something, and she's selling the fuck out of her stuff. Like, she's a good actress.
She is.
But I think it's a thing where, we talked about it when we did Force Awakens. Rey is a complete hero at the beginning. She is capable of flying, of fighting, of force powers, of this, of that. She's a completed hero. She doesn't have any... The only chip she has on her shoulder is, my parents abandoned me. And Kylo's like, well, they were drunks and they left you. It turns out, no, they were actually the greatest heroes in the galaxy trying to keep you from Palpatine. Did you know that Palpatine's your granddad? Just wanted to throw that out there. Again, issues. I think it's a thing where I really wanted Finn to be like way more special than the Rise of Skywalker gives him. Yeah.
We all felt, Finn deserved a lot of justice. Which he wasn't. He was just kind of, pushed in the back, and it's like,
Yells Rey 40 times.
Yes, that is most of his lines in this movie is just yelling for Rey.
Rey.
And it's just like... If Finn had so much more potential versus just, he's very much for the Resistance and, eventually becomes a co-general with Poe. And it's like, that's great, but, you were really selling it that Finn was going to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's like, why couldn't he be a Jedi and a general and a this and a that?
Why couldn't he be the special stormtrooper that could defect? Maybe his thing is like... And I think it's a thing. If all the other stormtroopers like defected and they were all like, yeah, we were a whole battalion and we left and now we have this and that.
We heard the rumors of a stormtrooper defecting and joining the Resistance and helping people. It inspired all of us and we put our guns down.
If they put that line in the movie, okay, then, now Finn's like, I am a symbol or whatever.
Yeah.
Would have been more impactful if Finn then if Finn died in The Last Jedi, like we said, and he died defending the rebellion, and then they're like, we heard that story ring out and we knew that we could make a difference, even if we are just evil stormtroopers. We could not be evil anymore and be good stormtroopers, whatever. But it is a thing where it's like, if all these people are able to defect and they're all stormtroopers and there's a whole battalion, all this other stuff, then I'm like, well, any of them could have been Finn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any of them could have taken that role. That because it's like, oh, you know, all the other Star Wars is like Jedi are like super special. They're super like, you don't get a Jedi everywhere. Some people live their whole lives never see a fucking Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole bit on like Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah.
They were like, Jedis are like fucking like wizards. Like they're not real. And then, okay, now all these people are Force sensitive. And also, like, now Jedis aren't really that special. They're not that rare. They're just, everyone can be a Jedi. What is it? What's the Incredibles line? If everyone's special, no one's special.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, have you never seen Incredibles?
I've seen The Incredibles.
You say that so defensively. One doth protest too much. But yeah, like, but I can see where you're getting at, because that as like a story jumping off point, we can fuck with that.
Yeah,
like that'd be a cool TV show. That'd be a cool like series of books, cool comic books, whatever. It's a thing where it's like, if that was the case, that would have been way cooler to do in the first movie.
Yeah,
and then Finn is the one that they're all like, "Fuck this, we're out." And Finn's like, "No, we gotta like go help the resistance, right? You know?" And they're like, "No, Finn, because we killed all their friends. So you can do that." And they all bail. And then, the third movie comes around and he goes back to the battalion because he knows where they... Again, if they planned this out, they could have done this. You start at the end and you work your way back.
Again, you're rewriting.
I know, I'm trying not to. But do we have anything else in the movie that works?
Let's see. Because, I mean, obviously, you know, we have Princess Leia dying, Carrie Fisher dying in real life that, you know, impacted the story. So it's like
a lot. Yeah,
it's like, so that would have been hard to write her death in the movie.
Yeah, because you're not going to recast Leia for the last movie.
No.
There's no way you're going to get like a body double and it's the thing where I'm like, could you get somebody that looks close enough and then like CG the face a little bit to try and make it work? But then you're getting that weird uncanny valley like you did with like in Rogue One. Where it's like, that you're close, but it's just not right. So you can't really do a lot with that.
That's why it's like, I think you would probably have to focus more on the Kylo redemption arc. Not with the universe, obviously, because, you know, he's a destroyer of worlds. No one's going to forgive, just like with Anakin. You know, he destroyed and killed so many people. It's like, you're not going to get people to believe, oh no, he really was good underneath.
The only person that could possibly forgive and redeem Anakin Skywalker was Luke Skywalker.
Exactly.
The New Hope.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, you could do that redemption arc where, you know, if Kylo's gonna save anybody, it's Rey and the people that Rey loves. It's like, you know, I can at least do that for you. And die so I stop, you know, hurting the universe.
I see.
Because, like, you know, you've already killed your father. The actions of what you've done has more or less killed your mother, because you've just, you know, you've broken her heart. You know, you killed her husband. You turning, you know, that's done it. It's just like, it's like, you know, she had to do what she needed to do to get him to see, you know, you need to snap out of this. You need to be Ben again.
Oh, okay. So I do think that's interesting, because I think I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Correct me if I'm wrong. That Leia's death to start off Kylo's redemption arc, that works. Is that what we're getting at? Okay. Because I do think you're correct. I think we can be honest. The truth of the matter is Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, is carrying this franchise on his fucking shoulders. He's the best character, the most interesting like character arc.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's the one that's conflicted. And it's so weird that the confliction is he wants to be good.
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around, where the person wants to, you know, lean into the bad, you know, the bad inside them. It's like, okay, I want to lead towards that dark side. Where he's done it, he's, you know, gone to the dark side, but the light side is pulling him back. I'm like, that's so different.
It's interesting because it's the opposite end of the coin of
Anakin.
Well, it's the opposite end of Luke, because here's the thing. Anakin was Anakin was space Jesus. He's, you know, Force Jesus. And then he's like, I am the chosen one, and I can't handle being the chosen one because I have all these emotions and I have all these things that the Jedi aren't supposed to have, and I don't know how to deal with it. And oh my God, I'm so powerful, but I don't know what to do. And then this cool old guy is telling me weird things in an opera house, and then I killed a bunch of people, and oh my God, I'm Darth Vader. Like, his thing is having so much of the world put on his shoulders, and he can't handle it.
Yeah.
And he breaks down and just destroys it all because he can't handle the pressure.
Yeah.
And then Luke is the one who's like, you couldn't handle the pressure and you failed, but you're still okay. You're still Anakin.
They're still good in him.
They're still good in him. And the battle with Luke in Return of the Jedi and Empire is like, you know, you're bad. I come from you who is evil, but I don't have to be like you. I'm still hopeful. And he's struggling with, I'm trying to be the good guy, but it's so easy to be the bad guy. It's
so easy to slip. It's so easy to just, you know, let that aggression out, which, you know, the words of Yoda, you can't be aggressive.
Well, you want to do the Yoda quote so bad, don't you?
I want to, but I won't.
You're like, I'd have to do the voice and it hurts.
Exactly. It's like, I don't think I could do it today.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, check us out on Instagram. Becky will do the whole voice for you. The whole, she will perform every Yoda line of the film in one long sitting. But back to the point. And then you have Kylo Ren, who is the opposite of Luke, is like, I was born a Skywalker, or I was born in the Skywalker bloodline. I was anointed. I was going to be the Jedi.
I'm a Skywalker solo. It's like, that is so much to have to live up to.
I love how everyone's like, you're Han Solo's kid. And I'm like, Han Solo was a fucking drug smuggler not 10 minutes before New Hope started. You know,
I don't think he was smuggling drugs.
He was smuggling something. He was a smuggler.
Well, yeah,
Poe was smuggling spice.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the one that was drug smuggling.
Look,
the spice runner.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm just being like, Mom, Leia, maybe you shouldn't have had me called Ben Solo. I can't go to a lot of cantinas. They hear Solo and they get real eyebally on me. Did Dad ever go to Tatooine and shoot a guy in a bar? Because I go in and they look at me weird. Again, it's just a funny, thing. But then you do have Kylo Ren, who is like, I have rejected the Jedi. I'm a Sith because that is where the power is, because I'm emotional and I'm blah, I'm blah, I'm blah.
I will finish the work that my grandfather started.
I will finish the work that my grandfather started because he was right. You give into your emotions because your emotions are what lead you and what, make you want to do anything. The Jedis are like, have to be so like, peaceful and like
you turn everything else off. You abstain from everything. You can't have connections. It's like, no, it's like, I want to be able to
have emotions
and do whatever I want to do
and not act like I'm in a George Lucas movie. Obviously I want to have emotions and depth, but it's a thing where he's fighting between the ideas of, I'm gonna be a Sith Lord, but fuck it, I'm being pulled to the light. I don't want to do this. He has the confliction. Rey is the beacon of hope.
She's the beacon of hope. And then, it kind of works with Palpatine because, we thought Palpatine was dead. And, when we have that first initial meet with Kylo Ren and Palpatine, and he goes, I created Snoke. And it's this thing where it's like, I've been pissed off at your family. Your grandfather killed me to save his child. I've been pissed off, and for years I've been waiting for your family to have a child, and I was going to seduce them over to the dark side just to get them for one more fuck you, basically. And it's like, okay, I could see, Palpatine being a petty bitch, and he's like, I'll wait decades until there's a child that I can,
manipulate
and pull to the dark side and be like, haha, I did it again.
I mean, okay, so that works. That works because we have Palpatine. Okay, I can see the Emperor being that petty and malicious. For the sake of argument, Palpatine survives and we get here, or the Palpatine we see die in Return of the Jedi as a clone, or whatever. Magic, voodoo, whatever. He's there. I can see that being a character motivation for him that works and makes this interesting. I just wish, with my heart of hearts, that was planned from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I wish in my heart of hearts that the things in this movie were planned from the beginning, because
if Palpatine was going to show up in the third act, keep it a complete surprise, you don't kill Luke in the second movie. You keep him alive, and Luke dies in the third movie, him and Palpatine take each other out.
I mean, you could have done the whole thing where Leia, dies in... Leia pulls the Holdo maneuver in Last Jedi, if you want to go with that, right? If she does that, that's more impactful. She's the final martyr of, whatever. And then Luke feels that, and he's like... And then he realizes after the sacrifice of Leia that he's like, I can't stay on this island anymore. I have to return. If he does that...
We get Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And so, if you want to bring it back with, him and Palpatine, but this time he actually fights Palpatine. He's not getting his ass kicked by Palpatine. There we go. It's like we finally have it. We're getting that storybook closing. This is how they started in Return of the Jedi, and now Rise of Skywalker. They end that battle.
And again, we're just gonna sit here and rewrite all the fucking Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
The main arguments with, I think that's an issue with the movie, is every time we try and come up with critiques or things that are wrong with the movie or whatever, everything comes down to like, well, if they just tweak this, 15 degrees one way, 12 degrees the other, okay, we're back in it. Like, we could make this work, or fuck, if they just rewrote this, the problem, there's just so much plot and shit in there. So there's 3 fetch quests.
I mean,
they go to like 5 separate planets looking for a triangle.
A Wayfinder.
Sorry, it's a Triforce, thank you.
It's a Sith Wayfinder.
It's dangerous. Don't go alone. Take this.
But, I kind of thought that was cool. I'm like, okay. We have, this object. We tie Luke into it. That there was something that him and Lando had been looking for to find this, rumored Sith planet that's, not showing up on the maps. I like that. I'm like, okay, let's run with that. Let's, that could be its own thing to get us to Palpatine in the end. But again, it's just, there was 2 of them, and I did love that it took us back to the remains of the Death Star. It's like I loved, going back and seeing the ship that has been the way it was after Battle of Yavin. And it's just this tomb where, there's just helmets and debris and some of the TIE fighters. It's like, I love that there's been this lost artifact that has lived in the ship that no one has gone to, no one has found. Very Indiana Jones.
I think it's interesting that that's what Disney aimed for, was nostalgia.
Yeah, because, we have the battle with Kylo and Rey in the ocean, basically, when they're running back and forth on that long dock, and the Death Star's behind them. This is after they're fighting for the Wayfinder. Yeah,
in, like, basically the throne room, and it's,
Yeah, so it's, we're getting, ties to that, but when they're out there on the dock and, after she force heals him and leaves him, that was where I think everybody thought that we were going to get the Anakin Force Ghost. Because the Death Star's right there. Anakin's going to be the one to tell him, look.
I changed my ways.
I lived this. I went through this, for so much of my life. I lost everything for nothing. And it took, my child to bring me back to the light side. So I think all of us were, we were waiting for that moment. And, when we get Han, who doesn't love to see Han? But we were kind of like, no.
Also, I just want to point this out about Han. You can tell Harrison Ford was like, I'm not going to cut my hair or shave when I show up. You get me for fucking 6 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could totally
tell. He does not want to be there.
You could totally tell. So, I remember watching that for the first time and being disappointed. Like, no, the rumors were it was going to be Anakin that, comes back. And I think, up until like these last few watches, I was like, well, no, it makes sense, He needs his dad.
I also like how they repeat the same lines from Force Awakens for this. I think that's good.
And in a different context where it's just, I don't think I could be bad anymore. It's like, it's killing me when, my heart really is good. And it's taken all of this for me to see that, this isn't me.
I have a question for you, and feel free to say, Dean, it doesn't matter. But do you think that the fact that the Disney Star Wars movies leaned so heavily into the nostalgia of the original trilogy, it handicapped them in to tell their story?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because who doesn't love nostalgia? And it works.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I love nostalgia too, but it feels like that for Force Awakens specifically, they were afraid to go beyond the original trilogy. You know, like that was an argument we made, was Force Awakens was basically a New Hope retold. And then Last Jedi was the most like, fuck all the old shit. It doesn't matter. We're gonna fuck the Jedi, fuck the Sith, fuck the Empire, fuck the Rebels. Rey, let's just say fuck all this. Let's go off on a space adventure, sit on the throne and make babies. Fuck this. Fuck all this noise. And that was the most like, fuck the nostalgia, fuck all this. We're gonna do our own thing. We're just gonna make Star Wars. And then Rise of the Skywalker backpedals so hard because they're like, no, fuck you. We want the nostalgia. It like pulls the attempts at originality and attempts to differentiate itself from the franchise of The Last Jedi and pulls it all the way back to the point that so much of this movie feels like they're trying to call back to older Star Wars to the detriment of its characters and its narrative. Like we have to go back to the desert planet. We have to have Lando show up, do the same thing he did in Return of the Jedi with Chewbacca. We have to have, the Millennium Falcon. We have to have suddenly now Leia has her own lightsaber and all this.
I don't think it handicaps it.
You don't think so?
I think it's just they were really backed into a corner and they were just trying to throw whatever they could at the wall to make it make sense.
I'm wondering about the writer's room for this. Do you think, because there had to have been a writer's room for this. It was a group of like 10 people in a room being like, all right, guys, so Ryan kind of got us into a corner. Okay, so, don't worry. We still love Ryan. It's fine. He is banned from the premises, though, so let me know if he comes back. But we have the whiteboard, so let's throw out some ideas. So who's the big bad evil guy? And somebody's like, Snoke. No, Ryan killed Snoke. Palpatine? Oh, okay, Palpatine. Does anyone have another villain we can do? Anyone? Dooku. No.
Dooku's dead.
Dooku's dead, as is Christopher Lee. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
Anyone? Darth Maul. No, Ray Park's not fucking coming back. We shit on him pretty hard for Phantom Menace. Palpatine. That's it. That's all we got.
That's
all right, why. Fuck it. Okay.
Again, I think they could have made it work if, they had done the Jaws effect. You only see Bruce, like 5 minutes out of the movie. But, just keep Palpatine towards the very end.
Don't make him so front-loaded to the movie.
Yeah, make it this kind of grand reveal. And even if you want to do it where Ben and Rey, their connection that they have together, is basically able to heal Palpatine. And that's where we get this epic battle that would happen with him and Luke, where the two of them die. I think that could have worked a lot better than, oh, here he is, rigged up to his machine, being evil. Oh, he's got to suck the youth out of, our two leads so he could be, whole again and evil again.
And also, look at him use his lightning powers to disable all these ships. And I'm like, when the fuck could he do that?
Yeah.
Could he do that in Return of the Jedi?
No, I mean, he broke out the window in Revenge of the Sith, but I mean, that's just a window.
Yeah, and also I feel like that was mostly because he shocked some guy into the window.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's one of those things where I feel like it's so hard to be passionately angry about Rise of the Skywalker because I feel so just defeated watching this movie.
I told you, you gotta let,
wash over.
You gotta let some time, kind of.
You are over there like, I am the Jedi. I've learned to control my emotions and accept the last Skywalker. You still are on the way of the Sith. You're too deep in your emotions.
Hey, I was feeling all these feelings when I went to go see it in the theater. It took me a while. Things were promised to us and they didn't happen.
You had your Anakin arc. I'm over here like Kylo Ren throwing a fucking tantrum and this movie makes me angry.
That's why, it's like I've had time to simmer. I am old Anakin over here that's just like, oh, I fucked up.
You're like, God damn, I did some fucked up shit back in the day.
I mean, it was a thing, when Rey is going against Palpatine on her own. When he throws Ben into the pit, he's like, you're a Skywalker. Fuck you. And he throws him, 100, miles away into the pit. And, you have all the voices of the Jedi that are speaking to Rey, because this has been something from the beginning of the movie where she's trying to connect and nobody's answering her, and Leia is saying, Give it time. They hear you. You're just not ready to hear them. And it was a thing where I don't know who said it or if it was promised and they just didn't follow through. It was supposed to be when Rey gets up and gets the lightsaber and she's ready to go against Palpatine, all the Force ghosts of all the voices were supposed to be behind her.
So they were supposed to do what they did in Harry Potter?
Kind of.
That's literally like the end of Harry Potter, or when he fights Voldemort, you know, all like his parents show up and they're like, "Don't worry, Harry, we got you." Like,
yeah,
all that,
so,
they were literally trying to steal Harry Potter.
So we were, all hyped. We're ready to see, Force Ghost Anakin, and now, since Luke dies in this version, I mean, not in the rewritten version that we came up with where he was still alive.
Yeah.
But Master Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, we would have had all these people behind her, supporting her. I'm like, that would have been awesome instead of just the voiceovers.
I mean,
that's why, sitting there in the theater, I'm like, well, where are they? I'm looking around. I'm like, are they there? Are they going to show up? Like, where are they?
Okay, no joke. When the movie was going to its end and its celebration, it was pulling out from all of them hugging. I legit thought we were going to get the
Return of the Jedi.
The Return of the Jedi, where Rey was going to look over and it would be every fucking like Jedi that ever had a cameo in these fucking movies. And when it was pulling out, I would say, fucking do it. Do it, you fucking shitty movie. Do it.
And they didn't.
And they did it. And I was like, oh my God, this movie actually has.
And the movie was like, fuck you, Dean.
Yes! Yes! Fucking yes! I was watching it and I'm like, fuck you, movie, do it. I fucking dare you. And it didn't. I'm like, that's what I fucking thought. At least somebody had some fucking integrity. It wasn't going to completely rip off Return of the Jedi. Oh my fucking God. And then it gets to the end of the movie and Rey is burying Luke and Leia's lightsaber, where I'm like, where the fuck did Leia get a lightsaber? Okay, whatever. Burying it.
It's in the canon.
In the canon that they don't care about. They didn't care about Last Jedi enough to, like, keep that shit sacred. So I gotta care about a book they wrote 40 years ago? Whatever. So they're burying the fucking...
Fake fan.
Yes. Burying the lightsabers. And then this old lady who's like, I have to go 700 miles away from the nearest town with my camel. Who are you? And she's like, I'm Rey. Rey what? Because we're really into surnames now.
Yeah, that was kind of like, since when do they care about last names?
And okay, and here's the thing. I hadn't seen this movie before. I didn't know the ending. I thought like,
how did you not know the ending? We all complained about the ending.
Because here's the thing. In my head, when people are like, oh, she's a Palpatine. Now she says she's a Skywalker. I thought that was a bit. Like, no joke.
No.
I thought that was a bit. I knew she was a Palpatine. I thought, oh no, she's a Skywalker now. I thought it was a fucking bit. When she says, no, I'm Rey Skywalker, I said, go fuck yourself. I was so mad. That completely misses the point of the fucking movie and the character narrative we're going for. Rey is a person who should have said, when they said, what's your name? And she should have said, it's just Rey. I am not carrying on the legacy of what's come before me. I made my own person. I am not Palpatine. I am not a Skywalker. I am Rey.
That's the fear of Disney. They're afraid if they let go of the name Skywalker, people just aren't going to care about Star Wars when that's so obviously untrue.
Again, like, you could have made one of these movies Luke Skywalker reading the phone book for fucking 2 hours and it would have made $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I get it, for her character, who would want to walk around as, a Palpatine? This old woman would have been alive for, the days of this. So it's like, yeah, that I understand it. That I could see, she would do this to honor Luke and Leia.
Wait, okay. Balls. What if this movie had some fucking ball, like big swinging fucking balls where she's like, my name is Rey Palpatine. And she's going to take it back. She's going to I'm going to take the name of the Emperor and I'm going to try and be a hero with it.
No.
She's going to try and change the history, right?
No.
I'm going to write my own destiny.
No.
My name does not define me. You're not really?
No.
Come on.
No. Skywalker sounds so much cooler than Palpatine. Come on.
Oh, yeah, it sounds cooler. You know what else sounds cooler? Fucking Star Killer. But
yeah, Star Killer sounded cool too, but George Lucas is like, yeah, that might be a little too aggressive.
No, that might be a little too fucking metal. George Lucas over here being like, Star Killer, that's going to name my fucking van. Yeah, I'm going to listen to Rush as I go to set. It's going to be fucking metal. Yeah, but
You and your imaginary van that you want.
it'll be
I
great.
mean, the one we saw the other day was pretty cool.
It was fucking great. Oh, so
The
okay.
stash box.
Yeah.
If you own that van, that was a pretty sweet van.
Okay, so yeah, tangent here. We were going on like a nice little like food day. We're gonna get food, sit in the park. It's gonna be really nice or whatever. And we roll
Or
up,
a picnic.
or a picnic.
Dean's, trying to figure out the cool way to say that he went on a picnic the other day.
Yes, we went on a picnic the other day. It was wonderful. But we roll up to the parking lot. And we're gonna go have our picnic, and there's this fucking van, and it is beautiful. It's got the airbrush tie-dye going on. It says stash box on the side.
It's got the flames coming from the grill.
Oh god, I think there was like a horse on there. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork.
Suddenly the wind was flowing through Dean's long hair.
I was like, god damn, that I was about to go make an offer on that fucking van if it was for sale. But besides the point, Rise of the Skywalker. So there's so many things about this, about the ending of the movie and how they handle every single character. I feel in this movie is wrong, except for Kylo Ren. Like, I'm okay with Kylo having a redemption.
Mm-hmm.
One, because it's like Adam Driver can pull it off. You can give him some pretty rough material, like in this movie, and he can pull it off. And also, it's like they think the conflicting nature of Kylo Ren is the main narrative push of this trilogy, whereas
we've seen it from the beginning.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a brand new thing at the very end of this movie where, well, no, wait, I've always wanted to be good. It's like, no, we've seen, he's fighting the good. Second movie, he's really trying to fight the good, but really wants to let it in. There's that real, tense conflict. And the third movie, it's, I'm pissed off that you rejected me on this offer where we could have, completely started on a new slate.
Who sit the throne, had a bunch of babies, and, fucked off to the edge of the galaxy.
But it's like, maybe you are right. I need to come back. I need to be Ben. So it's like we're able to see this progression back to the good side.
It's the only thing in this trilogy that actually is like, oh, that's a narrative through arc that goes through the whole thing.
And that's why, if Rey had just said, like in the beginning, I'm just Rey, would have been strong because she's like, yeah, fuck a last name. It's like, I am not him. I think even Luke says it, just because you're blood with somebody, that doesn't define your future. That doesn't dictate who you are going to be.
Which is why having her say Rey Skywalker is the worst decision to make if you wanted to care about this.
Yeah, and it's like, I get it. I get why you would, do that. I understand. But I think Rey is a strong enough character that she could just be her own. We don't have to continue the lineage of Skywalker because Luke and Leia were her trainers. So she goes on and she could tell the stories of, Master Luke Skywalker and, General Leia Organa Skywalker. She's able to keep their memories alive.
I mean, like we had this whole like fantasy writing session right before we recorded where I was like how the movie should have ended because Rey dies and then Kylo gives up his life force to save her. I think she should have just died right there, Kylo's arms, but he's not Kylo Ren. Ben Solo's arms, and then he takes her to the final resting place and that's going to be on either the Luke's island, probably actually no, on Tatooine, on Luke's original farm, right? I was gonna say the island because that's more narrative to her, but
with his great grandmother.
Yeah, like right. That I think that works. He goes to the Skywalker he should do that. Go to the Skywalker fucking cemetery, and he buries Darth Vader's helmet there. He drops Luke and Leia's lightsabers together, and he buries Rey there, and then does the whole Old West putting the tombstones up, and it says Anakin Skywalker, Leia Organa, Leia Organa, Luke Skywalker, and then it says Rey Skywalker on the tombstone, and then he walks off into the fucking sunset, he should walk off into the sunset and do sunsets and do what Luke does and just like fade off into the thing, into the ether. And it's like, the balance has been brought to the Force. The Force, there are no Jedi, there are no Sith because with the duality of the Force, there must always be dark. There must always be
Dark and light.
darkness and light. And he's like, if I exist, then the Force will never be in balance. Because if I'm good, there will always be a dark to rise. If he does, and Force goes away, and that's the end of it, where it's like,
if the light can die, the dark can die.
If the light can die, the dark can die. And if he fades off, that's how you would end it. And I'm like, you know what? At least there's a conclusive ending to the Star Wars saga. You know, it's the problem where it's like, if there's light, there must be dark. That's the whole thing about the prequels, right? The Phantom Menace. Oh, the evil is out there. We just can't see him yet. Anakin finally breaks it down. There's only one Jedi and there's only one Sith. All right, cool. We've broken it down. And then Luke is like, no, the dark is too powerful. The light must triumph because the dark has grown beyond its control. All right, now it's just Jedi. And then Kylo Ren comes up. Okay, Sith. Now it's Sith. Like, and then Kylo could just look at it and be like, you know what? Fuck all of this. Everyone's dead. I'm gone. Force ghosts out. Deuces. Kylo and Ben Solo drifts off into the ether of the Force. If it ended like that, bold, strong move. All right, cool. We'll take that. But it doesn't. It ends with Rey Skywalker and then her walking off into the distance with BB-8 in tow. Cool. Awesome. Right. Sweet. Are her and Finn going to get together? Because that's a huge thing that's never brought up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of liked the kiss between her and Ben. Because, you know, people were like, well, that was so unexpected. And it's like, no, they have this connection with each other. And it's like, you see, you know, with a lot of relationships where people are like, you know, oh, I can't stand that person, but it's really the passion underneath that's driving that attraction. So it's like, I can see where, you know, Finn might be, you know, threatened, you know, well, hey, I met her first and, you know, she really helped me change into the person that I am.
Yo, bro, I called dibs.
I mean, no lie, I've heard that before. It's just kind of like, no. Like
You're like, I'm a person, damn.
I'm like,
yeah, what do you
like,
call dibs? Fuck.
It's like, yeah, like, no, it doesn't matter if you met me first. You know, it's like, I can, you know, choose who I want to be with. But I can see a thing where, you know, with the two of them, with Ben and Rey, it's this thing where, you know, they've had this connection and this attraction. You know, they have the kiss. He sacrifices his life to bring her back to life. And then from there, it could be a thing where, you know, okay, you know, we had our moment. He saved me. I can go and live my life. And, you know, maybe I can let love into my life. And, you know, that word would be where Finn, you know, comes in. Because Finn has been, you know, I've loved you since the first moment I saw you. And, you know, I think you needed to get over your stuff to kind of, you know, mellow out and say, okay, I can live now.
I think it's so interesting that it's so obvious that Finn is into Rey.
Yeah.
Finn loves Rey. Very obvious. We can all see it. It's written in the stars.
Yeah.
And he never says it in this movie. And I get the whole like narrative thing of like, oh, it was never the right time. Yeah, the right time is after you've defeated the Empire and you're hugging and you're like, Rey, I love you. And she could say, I know. Kiss, ends the movie. And then Dean is yelling, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Fucking no integrity. And then the Force ghosts come up. And it's like, and special thanks to Anakin Skywalker. Ben Kenobi, the fucking Yoda.
No, all the Force ghosts would be flipping you off. They'd be like, fuck you, Dean.
No, all the Force ghosts would be like, you get some Finn. Yeah, get that, Rey. Go for it. Rey, you got this. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, Rose is watching? Yeah, fuck you, Rose. Yeah, your love thing didn't matter to Finn. Awesome. Yeah, it's... But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that irks the shit out of me. I mean, I know this is very... This makes you angry, how I feel about this, because... Okay, they have the balls to kill Han, Luke, and Leia. They don't have the balls to kill Chewbacca and C-3PO.
No.
No? I think it's so sad that Chewbacca is, like, the last of, like, the core.
I mean, that killed me. Because, I mean, Star Wars somehow always manages to get me to cry in, you know, different parts of their movies or TV series.
Star Wars has a very deep emotional connection.
It does. And I mean, you know, when 3PO might get his mind wiped forever and, you know, they're like, you know, what are you doing? Why are you staring at us? And he's like, you know, I want to stare at all my friends for one last time. I'm like, damn, 3PO, you know, really, you know, how to cut deep, when most of the time you're bugging the crap out of everybody. But when they come back to the rebel base and they're, we got to talk to Leia, and she's like, no, Leia's gone. And Chewie just drops to his knees and he screams. I was like, oh my God, because he loves Leia.
Yeah.
That's been his thing where it's, Han goes into the carbonite and it's, you protect Leia. You keep her safe. So it's just like, no, you can't kill Chewie.
No, here's the... Okay.
Don't do this to me. You can't take my droids or my Chewbacca.
Okay. But this feels like a movie trying to be the definitive end of the franchise. Or
I don't think you could kill everybody off just to make it the end.
Okay, they killed Han, Luke, and Leia. The only reason they didn't kill C-3PO, Chewie, and R2-D2 is because you can get different actors for them. All right, that's why, because you can put somebody else in the suit. But here's the thing. If they do this, they could kill... Because Rey thinks she kills Chewbacca, because they're flying out into the transport, and then she's like holding it with the Force, and then Kylo Ren's trying to get it away from her, and then she shoots...
They're having a tug of war with a ship.
And then she shoots Sith lightning and blows up the ship. And first I'm like, okay, so Rey's the most powerful Jedi to have ever lived. All right, cool, got it. But second, it's like, oh my God, she killed Chewbacca. That's a huge character moment for her. She's like, I tried to save him, but I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't, and this just happened. I don't know why it happened. I thought only, and then, somebody can say, I thought only Siths could shoot lightning from their fingers. Rey, I think you are not of a Jedi. I think you are of the Sith. And maybe that explains why she can heal people, because she is the Sith prophet. Anakin was the prophet of the Jedi. She's the prophet of the Sith. And now she has to grapple with the idea of, am I the Sith Lord foretold? As my destiny already determined for me?
Am I Plagueis?
Yes, literally yes. Low key, that'd be so fucking... That would be the balls on this fucking movie. From Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine talks about Darth Plagueis the Wise. He was able to bring people back from the dead and create life through the Force. If it turns out that Rey is Plagueis the Wise, she is the one, the Sith Lord foretold. She is Plagueis. That's why she can heal. She's so powerful. And that's why Palpatine wants her. Because he's like, I may be the Emperor. I may be the Dark Lord of the Sith. But I am not the Dark Lord foretold. That is you, Darth Plagueis. And if the Emperor bows to her, if all those people bow to her in the Sith cavern, and she's like, what? No. And he's like, no, such a heart you know it's to be true. The anger that flows through you flows through the blood of every Sith across the galaxy. All you must do is harness it. You killed one of their closest allies, Chewbacca. I want Palpatine to say Chewbacca, and then everybody like, that sounds so weird coming out of his mouth. Like, again,
excuse me, Chewie.
Like, they do the whole fucking thing. But Chewie dying, that's a huge character moment for her. She's like, she would wrestle with that for the whole movie.
She would wrestle with it, but no, we can't kill off Chewie. I mean, we do get a cool shot.
I like how Chewie's the sacred cow of the movie, but like Luke, you can knock him off. Han, you know what?
I cried when all of those people died in the movie. I cried in real life when Carrie Fisher passed away and her mom, Debbie Fisher, passed. Debbie Reynolds. Sorry, Debbie Reynolds passed 2 days after I think Carrie Fisher passed away.
Yeah,
I cried when all these people, really and fake, died in the movie. But where was I going?
The balls on this movie, though. You killed Chewbacca and C3. Okay, you killed Chewbacca. C3PO memory wiped, and it should be a thing. His memory is wiped, and he comes back as a blank droid. He's not C3PO. He's just a blank.
Could I get what I was trying to say out? You already made me lose track of whatever I was getting on earlier.
When R2 finds out that C3PO is gone, R2 just is like, and just shuts off.
He did that in The Force Awakens when Luke was gone. We already had that with R2 where he had just given up and shut down.
No, R2 just goes to a cliff and just falls off. He's just like seppuku right there. Okay, sorry. I'm going off on tangents. My bad.
You're buying me that Luke Skywalker helmet that we could see through the window right now.
Come to Undercity Comics. They have Luke Skywalker helmets.
Not for long. It's coming home with me.
Okay, so sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, because, Dean can't stop talking.
It's a podcast. That's the point.
But in general, he can't stop talking. Never lets me get a word in edgewise. And then, why don't you say anything? Because you're talking over me all the time. But on the real, during this part, during the festival when they're out there, we saw this in the trailer. Again, I don't think you saw the trailer because you were like, fuck you, I'm still mad about the last movie.
I was on the internet. I saw the trailer.
But I think that is such a cool sequence when Rey jumps over Kylo Ren's speeder. When she does the backflip over it. And
the cool action bump?
And then she, cuts the propeller on it. And I was like, that's so fucking awesome. We've been talking about, pretty much all the bad. It's like, I wanted to say, that was such a cool stunt, a cool scene. They slow-moed it. I was like, that's fucking awesome. Fuck yeah, Star Wars.
Okay, I will give you that was a cool scene of the movie. Rise of Skywalker is not all bad.
No, I mean, we get cool stuff. We get Babu Frick, which I loved.
Everyone loves Babu Frick.
Babu Frick's in The Mandalorian. That's one of the best scenes in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Him and Grogu together. I have memes and reels of it saved on my phone because it's absolutely precious.
It's precious.
It's precious. I will show you after this recording. But, fun fact, tie into Star Wars, Babu Frick, that's the same actress that played Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I learned that last night when I was doing my research.
Star Wars trying to steal a lot from Harry Potter, I see. All right. Well, we could keep going and rewriting Rise of Skywalker and history and complaining and trying to find good stuff about this, but is there anything you wanted to talk about this movie before we do our final thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to get into it because we're going to just, they could have done this. They could have done, so no, I'm not going to say anything more. I already put my thoughts about it. Yeah, it's a movie that you watch during the rotation. If you're going to do a full run of all the movies, you can't leave it out.
It still counts. It
still counts. It's part of the history, part of the canon.
I do have a question about that. This is the last theatrically released Star Wars film of 2019, and it's 2024 now.
Yes.
Do you think Disney's ever going to release more movies?
Well, yeah, we're getting a Mandalorian movie. Or do you mean
Star
Wars?
Like a mainline, real-ass Star Wars movie?
I mean...
Well, it's Star Wars above the title.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get the Rey movies, so...
Are those confirmed, or is those just... They really want... Because I think Daisy Ridley even said she doesn't want to come back.
No, I think those are confirmed. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure those are confirmed. I mean, we had the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I mean, Ewan McGregor's still young enough to, play Ben.
Well, play a mature Ben Kenobi.
A mature Ben, and, Hayden Christensen came back to play Darth Vader.
That's somebody I never thought would come back.
You need to watch the series. It is so good.
Yes, I get it. I understand. I need to watch all the Star Wars. All the Star Wars TV shows are amazing and perfect, and they're the greatest thing in Star Wars canon.
Again, watching the series, it kind of resolves things and put us on the track to A New Hope. So... maybe there isn't even, an Obi-Wan movie that could come out that would work with the history, the universe of Star Wars. But I'm always hopeful. I think, if they started again with new characters or, focusing on the stormtroopers, focusing on something else in the universe, I think it could work.
I mean, I think This is weird because I'm usually the eternal optimist on this podcast.
Star Wars is my thing, so I will defend it.
I understand. I think you're right. It is a thing where if they had the right approach and they just decided to drop a lot of the old legacy stuff that really I feel holds the trilogy back, and I know you're like, that doesn't hold it back at all, but I feel it does. But if they decided to start anew and just say, this is Star Wars Episode 10, the Jedi Retold, or the Jedi Renewed, or the Sith, whatever, and they just started a new thing that took place 100 years after the end of Rise of the Skywalker, and it's just a new...
You wipe the slate clean.
Just wipe the slate clean,
yeah.
Exactly. I was going to say, well, you just like reboot it, remake it. You can't do that. That's like kind of a thing you can't do with Star Wars. Because people hate like the Disney Star Wars movies. People hate Rise of Skywalker. They will hate a New Hope remake. All right, that will they will kill.
That's something you don't.
There'll be riots in the streets.
No,
that's not going to happen. So it would be a thing you would just have to move forward in the timeline and just do something different. Just do something new. Just none of the main characters have to be the same. Just do something different.
That's why Mandalorian's coming to an end, and they're going to do the movie because Grogu, he's of the same species as Yoda. He's going to live a lot longer than the Mandalorian is. So it's this thing where it's like we kind of have to close the chapter on this because,
what are you going to do? Are you going to have Mandalorian in his 90s with a walker doing his thing?
Exactly. It's like, it's not going to work. The people die, the characters, the creatures of this world, they live for, centuries. So it's like, you kind of have to figure out ways to work around it. So we just have to get more people in, the writers that are fans of the universe and the lore and, figure out new ways for us to fall in love with it all over again for new reasons.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I want new reasons. I just want an original look at Star Wars again. Like the prequels, I know, okay, month in total. The prequels, we talked about Phantom Menace. It's considered the worst one out of the original prequel trilogy. But I went back, I looked, I watched the prequels again. Fuck it, they have a point, they have a perspective, they have themes, they have things in them that make them like, no, these are something that are coming from a creative voice and that work. It's a story that I think is clunky. The dialogue's not great. Sans rough,
Yeah.
But at least it's something that George Lucas was trying to do within the universe he created, and he wanted to tell the story of the fall of a democracy, the fall of how a government can fall and how a dictator can rise and how that can lead into what we get in the original trilogy, which is George Lucas in the original trilogy, I guess in broad scopes, is him kind of going through his own feelings, of like, I was supposed to become the owner of my dad's hardware store, but I didn't want to. I discovered film, and that was my way out. And I had all this pressure on me, and I didn't know what to do with my life. So I was Luke Skywalker. George Lucas, Luke Skywalker, big surprise. And it's a thing where the Disney movies, it's made by committee. Like Force Awakens, we said it's good Star Wars. Yeah. It's not doing anything special, but fuck it doesn't need to. It's just doing Star Warsy things, and it's entertaining. It's fine. It's a blockbuster. Last Jedi, it tried to do interesting things. It's just execution was all over the place because there was not enough time to flesh out anything. And then Rise of Skywalker is, you get in or you get out what you put in, which was you didn't put in a grand plan. You didn't put in deep themes. You didn't put in the personal touch that the original series and the prequels had that made those like interesting or work. And what you got out was a jumbled mess. So if they were going to do more, I would just want somebody who had a fucking point. Tell me the Cold War. What would the Cold War look like in Star Wars? Yeah. Make that interesting. But yeah. Overall, I thought this movie was really fun. I really dug it. Really nice.
What'd you think of the month?
Oh, 5 out of 5. Sorry. The month?
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I would really like to come back to this kind of format again, where, get guests in, and hopefully we get guests for every episode where they can defend this, because Rise of Skywalker is a rough defense.
It is. That's what I thought.
This is a kangaroo. I tried to stop it being kangaroo court. It was a kangaroo court.
No, that's why I'm like, out of the two of us, I'm the bigger fan. So I'm like, I'll try to defend it, but also be as real as possible about it.
Yeah. But I would love to come back to this kind of format again, where get guests in to defend their picks. Because I think it's interesting. There's a lot of like franchises that I think can fall into this.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Star Trek, and there's some really rough Star Trek movies, low key. I mean, we could do that with all the fucking Halloween movies. I would love to see somebody try and defend Halloween Ends. Oh, try and defend Curse of Michael Myers. Please,
I think we know somebody that would come in and defend Curse of Michael Myers.
Oh. But what did you think of the month? You're the Star Wars girl.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being able to go back to all the movies because, yes, I have to rewatch all the movies and...
You do it at least once a year.
Once a year, yeah. And, I started branching off into some of the newer shows that I was waiting for them to be completed so I could binge through them. So it was a lot of fun for me to go back and relive these moments where... seeing Star Wars on the big screen for the first time with the Phantom Menace, being able to share that with people, the excitement, and, seeing Force Awakens and Last Jedi with you for the first time and being able to talk about those experiences.
Having to tell everybody that Dean stood on business and didn't show up to Rise of the Skywalker because he hated Jedi so much.
I saw Rise of Skywalker with my mom. She was the one that got me into Star Wars, so it was kind of a poetic thing, we'd end the saga together, and it was kind of a letdown, with how they did this.
You're like, Mom, I didn't know Star Wars could be this bad. It's okay, honey. It's okay. Shh, it's okay. It's fine.
But, it's a thing where, Star Wars is not just, a life-changing set of movies. It's deeply embedded in people's lives, and I'm one of those people where it's, been with me longer than I can remember. So... it was a pleasure to be able to talk about, some of the not so loved movies in the franchise and be able to kind of show, hey, there are some diamonds.
There are good things in all these movies. Rise of the Skywalker even has some stuff that I think are like diamonds in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking Adam Driver carrying this movie on his fucking shoulders. I think Kylo kind of works in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
For what he's given, yeah, it's a thing where this month has made me look at Star Wars differently than I did coming in. I kind of fell into the case of I used to really love Star Wars, and then I saw how Disney handled it,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt for the first time that the people making these movies did not care
Mm-hmm.
about their audience or did not care enough. And I don't mean like, oh my god, they're going woke, they're doing weird shit. No, it's they didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
They didn't care enough about my time, my money, or my investment into this franchise
Mm-hmm.
to come up with a plan to make their movies. They didn't care enough to develop original ideas. They didn't care enough to make something special
Mm-hmm.
for Star Wars. Again, I love Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is the greatest trilogy of all time, but Star Wars is the most influential
Mm-hmm.
franchise of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Period, full stop. You can argue what's better all day, every day, but Star Wars is the most influential film franchise of all time. And seeing how Disney handled it, I felt the disrespect, and I was like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. I'm out. But through this month, seeing how much people love Star Wars, even the bad ones,
Mm-hmm.
and still defending them, and watching Rise of the Skywalker and seeing like, you know what? Everyone hates this as much as I do. I'm not alone. Bros, bring it in. Where my Force Ghosts at? Let's go. But yeah, I think I probably should go back and rewatch the saga one more time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to go back and rewatch, I would love to watch Revenge of the Sith for the first time again.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing that as a kid, and that movie, hits different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I haven't seen that movie in almost, God, this came out in 2019, 2015 was the last time I watched them all. It's been almost 10 years since I've seen that movie.
I think you should give it a watch.
Yeah, I think from if anything out of this month, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna give Star Wars one more shot and see if it'll spark my little Grinch heart of this franchise.
Usually it's me with the Grinch heart.
We have switched positions in this month. This is weird as fuck. But yeah, those are my final thoughts on the Star Wars month.
Well, months come to an end, so that means we've got a new month with a new theme.
That's right, we do. To get out of Dean's feelings and back to the fun shit you guys show up for, cussing, discussing, dick jokes and all. Next month, we're talking about animation films. Cartoon June, you may say.
Yes, we moved animation to Cartoon June. And we have a first pick of a movie we both haven't seen before.
That's correct. We decided to call a guest in and ask him, can you pick a deep cut, an animated film that no one's seen before but you think's got merit?
It's got moxie.
It's got moxie, and it does. It's a movie that stars Judy Garland. It's written by Chuck Jones of Looney Tunes fame. It's done by UPA that did the Mr. Magoo and Oingo Boingo. Is one of the most influential animated studios in the 1950s. And what's it called?
It is called Gay Purry.
You have to be very clear. It's called Gay Purr-E.
Purr like a cat, purring, and E.
Yes. And it's a movie about cats in France, and it's animated, and it's not aristocrats. Aristocats. Yeah. But yeah, we have a guest on that episode. We're really excited. So go check that out. But if you wanted to listen to it, where can they go?
If you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube. You can like, comment, and subscribe on the slideshow versions of this podcast. But news is coming. I have finally released all of 2023 on our YouTube channel by the time this comes out, and we should be getting very close to being synced up with our releases. And that means we're going to start attempting to do true blue video versions of this podcast.
That's right.
We're going to try. It'll be a weird trial run, but hopefully we can get those shown out there soon. But if you want to know when that's happening or other things we're doing, where can they go?
You could go to Instagram and follow us at the Film Club Podcast, where we post daily stories, upcoming episodes, upcoming guests, and random adventures we go on.
And with that,
may the Force be with you.
Have a good week, everybody. Boop, 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 boop.